Dr. Ashwin, what exactly you and your team do at MapUnity? Your vision, it appears, is to leverage technology as a force for public good.
See, MapUnity is a lab. In most universities around the world, they'll have something called a technology transfer lab. So you create certain prototypes. You try to figure out how these prototypes can be used either in the marketplace or for solving public problems. And you use research as a way of generating solutions. Some people use that to generate, for example, new pharmaceutical drugs. Some people use that to generate new IT sort of nanotechnologies kind of thing, or IT solutions to certain new search engines. For example, Google came out of research at Stanford University. We don't have that tradition in India of technology transfer labs in universities, which make it possible for ideas in academia to be used outside the academic space. So I said, well, let's try something. Without the university, let's just create only the research lab and see how many problems you can solve. So MapUnity's focus is on social problems, large problems, healthcare, environment quality, traffic, urban management, where it's not so much about product development and systems only. It's about creating ecosystems that allow more people to participate, ecosystems for better visualization of data, ecosystems for problem solving. So we build a variety of technical platforms to make this thing possible. And this is really what has happened in the last few years. We built traffic information systems, and now we are building city management systems and healthcare systems and air quality systems and things like that.
So you coordinate with the civic agencies?
Wherever possible, yes.
Or the stakeholders?
Correct. Usually our job is to say, go and build the things that government actually needs. But don't get into this contracting relationship. We don't want to do that, first of all. We would much rather be academic partners to government in creating value, rather than bidding for government contracts and things like that. It's too tedious, and also it requires a different kind of orientation. It's not a research orientation. You need a business orientation to go and bid for those contracts and all that. You can always say, I'll give my technology to 10 people. They can go and do businesses with the government if they want to. I feel we've been reasonably successful with traffic, especially. The traffic management center that we sort of stitched together and the Bangalore transport information system, these are both widely sort of recognized in the country as platforms that are useful everywhere. There is now an effort ongoing to reproduce these platforms for all of the JNU RM cities. And if that happens, then you'll get a uniform standard across India. The good thing in doing this is that public information and public platforms also bring you a certain amount of legitimacy. Because we built the traffic platform, people accepted that I had some useful things to say about mobility. And because of that acceptance, in Abide it was easy to say, let's have transportation reform of BMTC. Let's have radial buses called Big 10 and circular buses called Big Circle and all of that. So the legitimacy for greater and greater involvement can come about if public systems and public solutions also are allowed to shape the system.
Dr. Ashwin, do you approve of Nandan Nilekani's UID program?
I don't think it's for me to approve or disapprove. I'll tell you, it has some operational problems. I think if we created demand for the UID, then there would be greater acceptance of it. If on the other hand, we went about saying UID is necessary and required, you will run into more problems. Fundamentally, if the people want it, then it will run much better. Today, it's not clear that the people want it. Instead, we are operating in a paradigm that says UID is a good thing, it's necessary, it's required. We must get away from that model and move to a model that says, I want a UID. Right? Now, if it is perceived to be done because your bank will not let you open an account without a UID, or your PDS ration cannot be given to you without a UID, that's not the same as creating demand. That is just, it's a weak substitute for creating demand. You should really get some value out of having this thing. Then it will sort of accelerate by itself. The technological possibilities of an integrated IT system, they've never been in doubt. I mean, large systems can talk to each other now. Data storage technologies are better. Communication platforms are better. Obviously, you can do a lot. But we should also not fall into the trap of believing that information systems are a substitute for actual reform. In UID, take the example of PDS rations, for example. PDS rations should ideally go to the people who need it and not to the people who don't need it. Now, UID can be one way of tracking who needs it and who does not need it. But in Karnataka, for example, there are more ration cards than families. So you don't need UID to come and tell you that there is something wrong with the entitlement system and the selection system. Even 2.5 years ago, the state had a list of some 9 lakh beneficiaries who were bogus and need to be removed and things like that. You can make another list like that with UID. But the decision to actually remove those 9 lakh ineligible people is a political decision. And it has to be made on its own merit. It can't be made because UID discovered those problems. And the failure of a political system to not do that is not the failure of UID. Therefore, I would not link UID to the political challenges. I would say UID provides you a technical base from which you can make these choices. It does have challenges, and we must confront them directly.
Dr. Ashwin, you work closely with the Namma Bengaluru Foundation. How do you rate its work?
Well, I not only with the Namma Bengaluru Foundation, I worked closely with Rajiv Chandrasekhar, our Member of Parliament, for a long time. And my sense of it is Bangalore itself is a unique place because of what has happened both in the work of the foundation and in the work in related spaces. I believe we have a higher degree of participation in Bangalore in the issues and affairs of the city. It's not a simple thing to get 14,000 application forms to recognize good work in the city. This year we may get even more. So I feel the NBF, especially the awards, has created a certain visibility for good public work. Second, it's also sort of given people reason to think that citizen level public work is not only possible, but it's necessary to do what is important for this city. More and more communities always reach out to us and say, how can this problem be fixed? How can that problem be fixed? And I usually tell them, well, you must add some words to it. You must say, how can this problem be fixed by me? Not by somebody else that you're calling on a phone, that you really want a system of government in which you can fix your own problems and you know how to fix these problems yourself. I think NBF is playing a vital role in galvanizing that public opinion, and that has to be the way forward.